Now we are going to see something about reading skills. Okay. See, reading skills should be developed. Should be developed in such a way that it's a practice. Okay, reading skill, reading, reading skills, reading skills. In that reading skills, you have critical reading, and you should have critical thinking. Critical thinking. This is very mandatory for any researcher. Of course, these things it has to be done only by the practice. Practice. Before going to your critical reading and critical thinking, how normally people will read any uh, text? For example, any paragraph, any textbook, anything in your thesis or anything in your normal textbook, whatever it may be. See, reading will be like this, when I give a sentence, okay, when I keep a sentence, normally you take a textbook, now you are going to read a concept, uh, one line, okay, first line, you read it, you understand it. Second sentence, okay, you may not understand. And when you go for third sentence, okay, when you go for third sentence, you understand. And you just give what I can say, you'll be just giving one what I can say, one core meaning and one core meaning, and you think that that is the correct. This is a normal problem, especially with the engineers and even many people. Okay, this is a bad habit. Okay, normally if you read the standard textbooks, we read it in hurry burry. We make it very fast reading and you understand two lines, some two lines you may not understand, you imagine this is what the link, that's all. So that type of reading should not be done. Okay, normally when you do a reading, okay, that too especially when you read any thesis or journal, you have to make your critical reading. Okay, what do you mean by critical reading? Critical reading, critical reading is that normally when you read any sentence, single sentence, okay, sentence, if you are not good at English, you want to repeat this sentence, read the sentence. Okay, you want to read the sentence maximum of 7 times. 7 times. If you're good at reading, if you're fast reading, it can be done at minimum 3 times. 3 times. This is how you have to read. Sir, what I'm going to read with that particular 7 times? Okay, the critical reading starts with the number of times reading. When I read a sentence, for example, okay, when I read a sentence, first time I read the sentence, now this is the time. When I read a first time, I should get the meaning of the sentence. What is the core idea? Second, what would be the writer's view on this part? In what mentality he would have written this? Okay, and that you can identify it. It means that from audience point of view, audience point of view, or writer, or you can say that a writer from of view, writer, writer's view. Okay, writer's form of view. You know how it form, how it's done, and all those things you can be doing it. Okay, and when you talk about this, one more thing, when you read it, okay, when you read it, you have to understand what is the word list is being used. Word list, word list, academic word list, or it is some other words and all those things. Then, and you have to understand that in a particular sentence, okay, what is the subject, verb, subject and verb. Then You should know whether the sentence is active sentence or passive sentence. Passive sentence. Whether the sentence is active sentence or a passive sentence. We never look on those things. We just take the meaning and we'll go out. Even you don't know. We don't consider that exact meaning. And second, and main thing is that in the sixth, you have to understand to the context. Word to the context. Word to the context. Context. See, for this elsewhere, and here at this point, I want to say a very beautiful thing is that very important thing I want to say is that 1 second. You want to have one software to be installed for this. It is called Word Web. It is been done by elsewhere company. Word Web. Please take down. This is the Word Web. Okay, this is a Word Web. It's a tool you have to download. You can download it in a system, or you can use it in your um, what I can say. You can use it in mobile, whatever it may be. It gives the context of the meaning. That is very very important. Context of the meaning is very very important. It plays a very vital role, and the context is very important. Now, when you talk about this, the seventh, which is very very important, very very important, is that how they start the sentence, how far their subject size, how far they make the sentence. It means that how they start the sentence. And what do you mean by starting? Is that they give a basic introduction, or a layman can also read the sentence and he can also understand, and that type of information. Normally we call it as old before new concept. That I'll teach you in the later on classes. Old before new. Okay, concept of writing is to be checked. Old before new. It's a concept writing. It's a method of writing. Okay, and this is how seven things has to be noted down. Now these are all, when you do this, when you do these things. Okay, when you do these things, as I said, your what I can say, your once again, your context or something like that. Your context and everything. Meaning. Okay, it is not meaning. Okay, and what I can say, audience point of view, looking the sentence, or writer point of view, and word list. Okay, whether it is academic word list or not, and you should know what is the subject and object, whether the sentence is what I can say, active or passive. Word to the context, start and before, then you have to see the prepositions, and all those things has to be seen. And this is how you have to make your reading. But normally we never think about it. That is a very big problem with us. And then when you go for next thing is that uh, of course you may not understand this. I'll let you know, don't worry. I'll show you a practical example by reading a standard journal article, then you will understand this. Now next is our critical thinking, and it is now critical thinking. What do you mean by critical thinking? What do you mean by critical thinking? Critical thinking is that when you read a sentence, when you read a sentence, put your own ideas, your ideas. Why he has said like this? Why not he could say like this? Okay, you have to raise some questions. When you say critical thinking, it should be that critical thinking will talk about when you read a sentence, putting your questions. Why? Why is saying like this? Where you have to create all sort of questions. Where he is doing this? How he is doing this? Okay, and when he is doing this? When all sort of questions should be raised to the sentence. Not that whatever you say, you have to take it in your mind. Whatever you say, you should not take it in. That is the basic problem with the research scholars. We never go into the baseline of the concept. We just take like this. We never look into this. When you practice, when you come along with me hereafter, you will get that touch. and that touch will make you to understand when you did, how you did. Okay, all sort of questions should be raised when you read a sentence, not that whatever he says you take into your mind. I'll just ask a simple question is that when I ask some engineers, I have seen some engineers, and without critical thinking, how the critical thinking comes. When I ask something about critical, they may not understand what you mean critical thinking. Then I take a lifetime example about the critical thinking. What is the lifetime example about the critical thinking? I can give a lot of examples about your critical thinking. Now, I can give one such example is that everybody in the society, everybody knows that a department is there, electronics. Electronics. When I ask a question about electronics, can you raise a question about electronics? And when I ask some people, say something about electronics. Okay, when I ask them to say something about electronics, when I ask them to say something about a few words about electronics, they'll say electronics is a subject. And do you raise a question? And what is the question? Would you get? Nobody will get. Electronics means electronics engineer. That is what people are trying to understand. But critical thinking is that, how do you get this name? That should be the start. How you got this name? When you say electronics, okay, I'm accepting electronics means I have mobile, everything. This is what the experience I face with the people. When I ask them, what do you mean electronics? They'll say electronics is a subject. What you put many questions on electronics. What is there to say questions? Electronics is developing field. How it is developed. In that way they say, but they never talk about how do you got this electronics word? How do they coined it? Why they want to call it as electronics? Now when you start this, here starts your critical thinking. Here starts your research. See, how do you got it? It is called electron. Just an example, because after saying this, if I don't say this, you will really, people will try to feel bad. No, you will not get the answer. It is called electron plus mechanics. See, this has been coined to become electronics. Because if you take any electronic devices, either electron will be in static, because when you say mechanics, either in static or in dynamic. Dynamic. And this is what the reason they made it electronics. Of course, some people will say, what do you mean mechatronics? They'll say mechanical and electronic joint. They say that it's mechatronics. But still, this is the way, especially, you have to think. Normally, I'm very practical to say this. Computer science people will not have this type of touch. This touch is normally lagging, maybe because of their approach of learning. I don't know, because I cannot able to say this, but I still feel mechanical and civil engineer will get this entire real feel, unless otherwise they see something and practically they won't accept it. They won't accept when they ask them to imagine, they won't imagine. That is a problem. See, for example, if I ask a computer science engineer, they say that, IP matching, IPv6 matching. Yeah, everybody knows that IP address matching, IP address matching, IPv6, IPv4, or IPv6, whatever it may be, address matching. Okay, address matching. Many people are not aware what do you mean by IP6. Okay, they know that address matching means two IPs are matched and your website will. Oh, no, it's not like that. Where this is happening in the real time, where it is happening in real time. When I put a question, no, they'll really try to find hard. They'll just say, you know, they will just say in a different angle. See, that is what the problem. No, what is the answer for this? You have a NIC card, which is your Ethernet card. In the Ethernet, you have a network controller IC where this IP templates are matched. If at all in wireless, no, we have a separate section called network interface controller. There, these actions are happening. Okay, now how do I want to control this? Sitting in my laptop, how can I change? Now, this becomes one more big question. This is how you have to make it. Because if you make your mind to get it into critical thinking, you get a lot of problems, lot of solutions. When you identify the problem, okay, in a proper way, not that generally you say a problem, not the critical thinking and coming out with a problem, will have a beautiful research topic. Why not this can be done? Why not it should be not be done? Why it can be done in this way? See, keep on thinking. No, it is just like that. You are just making your brain to what I can say to give lot of problems. At one point of time, you will find all the problems with solution. Okay, and that critical thinking is not been done in our day-to-day life also. That is a very important thing. And when you talk about critical thinking, okay, one more thing, I can give a very small example. When I ask one question, because these are all very simple, internet. When I ask them, what do you mean by internet? Why it is called internet? Why not it can be called as waternet? Why it cannot be called as any other net? What I can say, router net, whatever it may be. Why it is called internet? Now, when I ask them how internet is working, nobody will say that fellow. One fellow will say it is from what I can say satellite. One fellow will say wireless. But many people are not aware that it works on optical communication. Optical communication. Many people has to learn that the internet has its own functionality through optical cables which are connected in the sea, through the sea. Okay, and this optical connectivity based computer connection has been done there. Computers are connected by optical communication. If you want to go and see that internet cable map internet map cable map, you can see the routes in the Google. You can see how it's been done, because you cannot do your connection, connectivity in the wireless for a long distance. All the servers, how in your lab with the server 10 systems are connected same way. American computer is connected to Indian computer of the server, any server, through underwater cable. Now, this is what the problem. When you take a word, don't try to take as it is in your brain. Just think for a while. Why it is been called like this? Why not it should be like this? Maybe the reason. Don't try to have a compliance. Compliance is that you yourself don't try to give answer. If you don't know the problem, you just keep quiet. Don't try to say that any false answer by yourself. It means that you should not give an imagination to your answer. That is the problem. You should not do that. See, why you are talking about these things, Professor? Now, if you put a question to me, now I'll show one sentence, and I'll teach you how to go for this sentence to be read in a critical reading. See, that is what is required for an engineer to take a problem. And if you don't do this, you cannot able to get your writing, academic writing in a proper way. Just I'll show you one example. I'll just take one paper. And when you want to talk something about paper, I'll take something in image processing. Okay, I just take an image processing. I'll just take one. I'll just take image segmentation. And as I said, you should not go ahead with what I can say IEEE access, and that is not up to the level, because the quality is not maintained there. Now I'll take some papers. Vertical image segmentation. Okay, I'll take this paper. What do you mean by critical thinking when you read a paper? I'll just 2 3 examples, because I'll take image processing, I'll take one civil engineering, and I'll just take some papers from wireless, and I'll show you how to do this critical reading so that you can understand. Now I'll take cognitive radio. I'll just take cognitive. And now this is your paper, and I'll just explain, because department wise, you will get a good, what I can say, understanding. Accurate medical image is essential for diagnosis, surgical planning, and many other applications. Convolution neural network has become the state of art automatic segmentation methods. Accurate medical image segmentation is essential for diagnosis, surgical planning, and many other applications. Now, why this person has to say accurate medical image segmentation? This is the word, very catchy word. What do you mean by accurate medical imaging? So far, no accuracy is there. Now, now I want to check what is the accuracy of CT image. The single word, I'm just taking a route and then I'm just going ahead. And these type of pattern you can see in NAC and NBA. When you ask an officer to go for an NAC and NBA inspection, they'll take one file. From that file they route it and they'll go for the entire file. They get the entire information. Did you ever thought about it? Ever felt this when you go for NAC or if you go for NBA admission on ISO auditing? They'll take one simple document. From that document they'll catch the route and they'll go, and slowly they'll go for the branches and they'll identify. For example, if MBA or NAC or ISO audit are coming, they'll ask one logbook. Come on, take one logbook, and when you see the logbook, why this person has been, this student has been failed. Okay, so he failed, and what was your what I can say input for his failure? It means that what you did. Come on, show me this document after your counseling. And he, what happened to the student, and what about other attitudes? If not, so when he takes the other subject he does well, why he is not like that? You keep your link and you move it, but we never do this when you go for a reading. That is what, when you go to IIT professors, even a single word, they'll look in a different way. See, as I said, accurate medical image segmentation is essential for diagnosis, surgical planning, and many other application. Now it means that they are talking about accuracy. So something is there with accuracy. It means that there is no accuracy in the image segmentation. Now what I'll do, I'll go to the internet. I'll see what is the accuracy of measuring an instrument in CT images. Now I'll just show you how to go and see. Now you get a new information. See, accuracy of CT scan, and now it's for pancreatic cancer, accuracy of how far it is accurate. Now you can see this good information. Computer tomography has a good accuracy, sensitive diagnosis, and greater than 2 centimeter. What he said is correct. It means that I am getting a very good example. Accuracy means the machine can able to get only above 2 centimeter. If it is below 2 centimeter, it cannot able to detect. Now this is a problem. See, taking one line, I'm just making a very beautiful information. Now, this is what about critical thinking. Now, what is the 7 things I said? I read only one time. An accurate medical image segmentation is essential for diagnosis and surgical planning. Now, what is that second thing I want to see this? This is my subject, and this is my verb, and this is my what I can say. Questions asked by the subject should be answered. Now I'll just make it like this so that you can able to understand. First sentence, I got one information. Accuracy means I went and searched it. Now this is your subject and this is your verb. Okay. A verb asks a question. Okay. Accuracy of medical image segmentation. Why it has to be done? Where it has to be done? And what is the problem? So maybe all the questions, verb ask a question. Where it is done? It is for diagnosis. Why it is done? For planning. And it is used for some other places. Yes, in other medical applications. Now this subject is putting a question through the verb, and answers are left out here. If you write anything in this fashion, the reader will not get any doubt. Now The problem starts here. The reader will get a doubt here. Surgical planning. What do you mean surgical? I know about surgery. I don't know about surgical planning. Now here starts one more question. Critical thinking. Where and all this accuracy is more required for surgical? Where and all the surgical planning never requires the accurate measurement? Now this becomes a question for you, research question. This is called a critical thinking. Okay, and this is called your critical thinking, and this is called your critical reading. The reading says that subject, object, and then your verb, and verb puts questions, and you're seeing it whether it is an active voice or a passive voice. You're seeing it, and you're also seeing a word essential for. Why you want to say essential for? What is the reason you want to keep the word essential? Okay, why you cannot say the accurate medical imaging is required for? Is required for. Requirement may be mandatory or non-mandatory. And why you didn't say that it should be? No, you didn't say that. It is essential. Now, I want to understand why this person has given essential. What is the reason he has given? You want to make essential. Now I'll go to the word verb. I want to see the context of the word understanding. Now I'll just go to the word verb because I used to use this word verb. Of course, this word verb is used by elsewhere people, and elsewhere uses this particular dictionary, whereas other dictionaries are not used because I was just having a class with academic writers of elsewhere, and I came to understand this. Now, essential. See, essential is an adjective. Why he has not given us required? Why is emphasizing that essential? See, you can see this blue color and you can see this black color. Blue color wants to give an explanation according to the context. Now, if I mean that essential for absolutely necessary, vitally necessary, and that time how to use this word essential tools and material funds essential to the completion of the project, basic and fundamental. If essential meaning wants to give this meaning and how to use that, how can you use in a sentence, that has been given in the uh, blue color. Of the greatest importance, being related to, containing the essence of the plant, and this is what the context. If I say about the context, this is your this is your context with this con with this sentence. This is your sentence. What meaning is trying to give for this essential, and that has been posted here. Okay, this is a very beautiful dictionary where it gives an explanation about the context, and based upon the context, you can use different wordings. That is very important. Now, why they are not used required? Require is also very important. Why they give essential? Why they are given essential? You can change this sentence. Accurate medical image segmentation is required for diagnosis. Because requirement is not a word used by the academic writers of biomedical. Biomedical people will not say that required. Okay, they will never use required. It is essential, desirable. Okay, it is desirable, essential, must. In that way, they used to talk. See, if you want to understand about this wording, it comes under academic word list. I'll show you. And no people, no university teachers you what do you mean by academic word list. Academic word list is very less number of words. People sometimes I feel that when you do something with technical writing, you want to know very big English. Nothing is like that. Nothing is like that. You have to know how to use simple tense and past tense. That's all. But you should know how to have your writing in a way of critical readers. When they read your sentence, how do they take it? And that is very important. How do they read it? If you read your sentence in a critical way, that is how you have to bring it out. This is the academic word list, and you can see this academic word list highlighter. It is called EAP Foundation. You can see this academic highlighter because there are about in academic rating, only 550 words, I suppose to believe. Now it is being increased. You can see this academic word list. I'll just show you one academic highlighter. That is an highlighter also. You see, economics will have its own highlight. Subject specific highlighters are there. I think you can able to see here. It is called academic word list, and you can see the vocabulary will be changing, and your wording will be changing. By that way, you sir, how do I understand? How do I learn this? So far, I didn't. Don't worry. If you listen all those things, don't say that sir, how can I do this? How I'll do this? Don't try to be panic. It comes only by the practice. Year after, you read only one paragraph, okay, one methodology topic, as I said in the previous class, one methodology sentence and problem sentence. Keep the two sentence, put your critical reading and put your critical thinking, you will get a lot of problems. Now here is the way you can I'll just going to copy this and I'm just going to paste it here to check the academic word list. You have this, you can do this. This how the word list has been categorized. Of course, I don't have time to teach this because these things are available in the internet, but people in academic rating may not be knowing this. It's a very good site and you can use this. So as far as reading this particular sentence, one particular topic I was able to get very important thing is that they are using essential, they are not using required, and they use diagnosis. Why they didn't use diagnose? Diagnose is a verb. In a single sentence, they use only one verb. You just make it very clear. Convolution neural network have become the state of art automatic segmentation methods. You see, however, why is using however? Now, this is how you have to read. I'll teach you all those things. Don't worry, because you have a 30 hour of class, each and everything. And then you can see this in a simple sentence. However, a fully automated results may still need to be refined to become uh, accurate and robust enough for clinical use. We propose. Now, this is your descriptive abstract, and we propose is the main objective. Now, we propose a deep learning based interactive segmentation method. Why they say interactive? See, the writing of a word is very important. Method to improve the results obtained by automatic CNN and to reduce user interaction during refinement of higher accuracy. Now, if you take and read this particular sentence as a common man, nothing is there to get into your brain of thinking. If you don't look at as a common man, no, I am a researcher. How do I talk? What do you mean by interactive? Interactive means somebody will touch into that segmentation. Okay. When somebody is going to have a touch on the particular image, interaction will be there. By the time results are improved, then automatic. What do you mean by automatic? It means that the segmentation done without the involvement of a human person will be done with the interaction of the people, especially for deep learning. Okay, good. Reduces the user interaction during refinement of higher accuracy. What do you mean by refinement of higher accuracy? It means that manually we'll check, I'll pocket. There is a term called, I think civil engineers will know that. They used to say puck or something like that. Just clicking, you can say click. You know, and that click, will be reduced. Is it so? Now I want to learn how far the interaction is done for refinement of accuracy in image processing. This is how I have to make it. And then I have to make it, I understand that automatic CNN. Why how you can go for interactive segmentation. Now, how to learn? You have to go to the internet and you have to see this, as I did previously. And this is how you have to make your critical thinking and critical reading. Not only this, you can take any subject. Now, as I said, I have made one paper, I'll just go for one more paper in each and every paper. Now, when you keep on practicing this, questioning yourself on the sentence, unless otherwise you get the correct answer, you know, that is the start for the research. But Normally we never do this. We never give much importance to this. We never give much importance to this. We just take it in a what I can say, in a oral manner. It means that I can say that just like that. No, you imagine and you just throw it out. In my first sentence also, I said surgical planning. Surgical planning means you think that okay, before surgery some planning will be done, like that you have to take, but it should not be taken that way. Now you have to go and search for this. Surgical planning is a pre-operative method or pre-visualization, a surgical intervention in order to predefine a surgical steps. Furthermore, the bone segmentation, this is how they make it. It means the pre-operative method, pre-visualization. So it means that they are going to visualize it, and this is how you have to come to a plan. What we think normally, surgical planning means before planning, making all my scissors and all those things correct. It's not like that. Whether I'm going to keep the scissor and I want to check before cutting whether the point is exactly cutting the object or not. Is it so? So still putting questions. No, it's a good thing, but please don't try to put these questions wherever you go. Only when you read your textbook, you have to do this. Sometimes the researchers will try to put this habit in on normal reading, normal day-to-day life. Certain things has to be avoided because this is the way you have to think only for your reading a journal, not for anything, only for a subject. Why this is happening? Why not this can be done? Why is they are trying to say? And this is how you have to make it. So similarly, now I'll go for one more example from your what I can say, networking paper. I've taken one networking paper, and I'll just go through it, and I'll give one more example. Now, I just shifted. See, this is how your critical thinking and the critical reading has to be done. That is very, very important. And I'll just make this in bigger size. You can able to see this very clearly. Now, the cognitive radio technique has revealed a novel way of utilizing the precious radio spectrum via allowing unlicensed users to opportunistically access unlimited license plans. Cognitive radio technique has revealed a novel way of utilizing the precious radio spectrum. How come cognitive radio in precious spectrum? What do you mean by that? In reality, where I can see this cognitive radio? Can I implement in my Wi-Fi module? What do you mean by this? Why do you say cognitive radio? And how do I feel it in real time? If I say something, I should get the feel, I should get the touch. How do I get it? And that is a problem. We never think in that way. What do you mean by cognitive? Why it is called cognitive? Cognitive means awareness. Okay, what do you mean by awareness? What do you mean by radio? What do you mean by spectrum? Now, what do you mean by unlicensed user? Who will give the license? In India, who is giving license? What do you mean by unlicensed? Why they are not using free users? Why they are using unlicensed users? And why they want to use unutilized license band? What do you mean by unutilized license band? Who gives the license? When you ask the people who have done the research in cognitive radio or wireless technology, they talk all lot of things, but still, who gives this license? Immediately they will say telecommunication of India, or they'll just say something about some other department. Don't try to give that imagination. I'm not blaming others. We are being meant in that way. We are being meant to think in that way. That is the problem. Okay, you want to understand and read. It is not that you want to make it practically. You have to create your imagination how it will be there in the real time. That is very important. Now, in India, who does this? It is done by WPC. It is called Wireless Planning Commission of India. There you just go and see. You can see this. If you want to do something with RF, of course, many colleges are trying to do something with RF module and all. It is legally prohibited according to Wireless Planning Commission of India. You have to get the license. Many teachers, many professors are not aware about it. They say that it's a band which is not for ISM and all those things they'll say. But nobody would have been read about this type of particular rules and regulations when you want to use some circuits to be done in your classroom. You can see these licenses. and license frequencies. You can read, download, you can see what do you mean by non-network license, and if you want to get the license, where to get it, I'll just show you. And I can show you here a lot of networking topologies and all those things are there, because it's not a class for what I can say technical, but still I want to show you something in India. How do they get this license? I'll just see some license. What I can say, you can download here. I think appendix 10 pro forma. You can see this, how far you are going to affect the human body. The report of human body is harmful inferences. So you can see this, how they are putting questions. What is the bandwidth, bearing? Like this, you have to get educational license when you want to do this. And I think you can see this telecom policies where you want to use it, and wireless policies are there. And of course, there is a separate wing and division. It is called network technologies and relationship. Of course, if you have time, you just go and see what do you mean by mission to mission, what do you mean by indigenous 5G test bed. Okay, and these are all the things you can see from this particular Indian government rules and regulations and all those things. Of course, this is called WPC, Wireless Planning Commission of India, Wireless Planning Commission Wing. And I think this is India Wireless Planning Commission of India. I think every department, this is the website of wireless company. I think you can able to get it very clearly. And I think this is the planning commission. They have made it in telecom communication, and this is how you have to make it. Now when you go for this subject, when I go for this subject, um, the same paper, I just go there, cognitive radio. So these are how you have to make your things to be corrected, reading and correcting. Now I'll take one civil engineering so that people can understand it. If you take from remote sensing or geoinformatics paper, I'll just take and I'll read. So I'm just showing an example, not the entire thing, because hereafter you have to practice yourself to read it. That is what very important. I'm just taking only IEEE open access free journals. Now I'm going to take a latest paper, and now I'll take with remote sensing images with sparse annotation. The critical reading can be done in a very simple way. See, you can see the title, how the latest titles are there. You can see the titles. Even in critical thinking, no, as I said yesterday, last class, you can read your first paragraph of your first sentence of your paragraph, or any paragraph, first sentence continuously, you will get the understanding. You can check with this also, you can get it. But still, there is one more beauty is there. You read all the only the figure name, you will get the link. Don't read entire concept. You see the figure name, you read the figure name. Okay, you read only the figure titles. Okay, you will get an information. You continuously read only the titles, you will get the entire papers, motivation, steps and procedure. Okay, even naming of the title is also very important. Naming of your title, no, that is also very important. But we never think in that way, we never looked in that way. We just read from first line to last line, then you think that this is what. Just keep any paper, you see only the figure, you read only the figure titles, captions. It means that captions, it means that simulation user, that's called a caption. You see only read the caption, you will understand the paper. How many people have tried this? That is a very big question. That is called critical thinking, and that is called critical reading. When you look into that caption very clearly and you try to take a lot of questions from that, you will get a lot of information. I think next class we'll be trying to teach you something about how to write a paragraph, how to write a sentence, and how to look for the papers and some softwares. As I said, meaning is a very big important thing. and we'll be seeing something about how to read a paper and how to read a paper through softwares. Okay, and writing a paragraph and writing sentence, and I think that will be done in the next class. Okay, and I think I can close here. I have started my recording. Any doubts? Any doubts? Any doubts?
Sir, sir, in yesterday's class, we were speaking about skimming and scanning about this reading techniques, no, sir?
Yes.
So mainly the first sentence what we are reading, that technique only is called skimming and scanning, or
No, only you're taking only this methodology in this paper we propose.
okay,
And before that line, you'll have a problem. You read only
yeah,
that thing is called skimming and scanning.
okay,
Okay.
okay, sir.
Editor will not
Now,
read. The editor will not read your entire paper.
okay,
Do you read every paper and correct your paper? Is it so? No.
no, no,
No. You just have skimming and scanning. How do you do this? You just scroll the paper, you see the handwriting, you just see how the figures are done. By the overall look, you see some diagrams and equations are very good. Exactly like immediately you will try to put your full marks. Similar way, when author sees that, you'll see only the title, how you keep it, and he will search only for this we propose. There you have to give a strong relation. Then he will go for this last introduction before para. He'll identify the things first. If it is this is okay, this part is okay, then he goes to the abstract, then he goes to this, then he overall sees the diagram, how he has done the diagram, what are the tools he has used for the diagram plotting and all those things. Then he comes to conclusion, this paper can be sent for the review. And moreover, if reviewer feels that paper is good, sorry, editor feels the paper is good, reviewer gives a bad comment, he will change the commands. He will accept the
okay.
paper. Okay.
Okay, sir. And of course, another general question, sir. In yesterday in worldcat.org, you told that if that downloadable count is less than 50 or less than 100 or something like that, yesterday we were discussing about it. So if in case in general it is higher than 100 or 150, then what should we assume? As you said that it will have, it will not have so much of novelty in it,
Yes.
in that particular topic. But
Yes.
in that case, we have already opted the title for us.